Build aircraft carriers. The U.S. built 151 aircraft carriers during World War II. 151! That was just aircraft carriers. The sheer military production during World War II was insane. During the height of World War II, the United States was building a brand new B-24 bomber every 63 minutes. The enemy could shoot down 12 bombers during a bombing run, and the next day not only would those 12 bombers have been replaced, but another 12 would be there to join them. I've heard from others our air conditioning is top-notch. The system of national parks. Not just the official parks, though. All the national park system sites. I've got one of those nerdy stamp books to document my visits to them. I just found one on an abandoned fishing island, Portsmouth, off the coast of North Carolina. It's so cool that this part of maritime history is preserved, and there are volunteers there to tell you about it. Apparently, the U.S. produces the most crude oil. North Dakota had lots of oil production. A bunch of people were laid off when gas prices dropped. But until that happened, people made a lot of money. Also, the local towns hated the workers because there was not enough housing. So people would come from all over for work and either live in their cars or just a tent. They all had good-paying jobs, but couldn't find a place to live due to open inventory. But yeah, OPEC really controls oil, so it really doesn't matter if the U.S. produces the most. We don't get discounts for local oil. Cultural assimilation. Pretty much anything you can think of from anywhere in the world, we've got it here, somewhere. Mexican, Japanese, Chinese, Nigerian, Korean, French, etc. If you like the food, music, literature, religion, whatever, you can find it here. I was born in Europe and moved to the USA as a young teen. The US gets assimilation really well. Like, you become part of some group fairly quickly, and there are many to pick from. In Europe, we had 2 boys in school, one from the US and one from India. Those kids got picked on for years and years. They never ever were going to be considered to be one of us, and never will. The US has this thing where if you play a sport and win as a team, or get through something difficult together, like a math competition or a science lab, or play in a band that sounded good, suddenly you are one of everyone else. I had never experienced that before. It felt good. Cybersecurity. I just recently learned that the United States of America is the top gold standard in all things cybersecurity. I was actually a little surprised. Entertainment. Americans love to be entertained. We spend more money on entertainment than anybody anywhere. That's all kinds of entertainment, from movies, music concerts, amusement parks, and even smaller forms of entertainment like movie theaters, bars and nightclubs, bowling alleys, laser tag, and even food videos. Cultural imperialism, soft power. Heard a quote once, I love it. China has kung fu, China has pandas. China is unable to create Kung Fu Panda. I heard a point about Kung Fu Panda and how the US was able to make a great movie about Chinese culture better than the Chinese movie industry, in large part because American characters can be shown to be vulnerable and fallible. This is in contrast with Chinese media characters who are supposedly shown to always be good role models and almost infallible, as this would be disrespectful. This difference is what gives American characters more depth and allows us to have better stories than many countries. Not sure how accurate this is, but thought it was an interesting point. Startups. It is so difficult to build a startup-style company as many other countries. In the US, it is surprisingly easy to start a company. First off, the way the US government supports startups is so much better than other countries. There are various federal and state programs offering grants, loans, and tax incentives specifically designed for small businesses and startups. But really it is that the regulatory environment is so much more flexible and less bureaucratic, which makes it easier to start and scale a business. Hollywood movies. American blockbuster movies are popular all around the world. No other country produces movies of the same degree of spectacle and quality. Disability protections and accommodations. The ADA is the world's golden standard, and it's not even remotely close. I'm an American living in Canada. I can tell you with no uncertainty that Americans are just better at hamburgers. I hate the stereotype, but it's true. Even the places here that are allowed to cook their meat to temperature, Canada has strict rules about meat handling, so most places just cook them all well done. Don't really understand all of the other stuff that's supposed to go on a good burger. Whole wheat bun with kale is just gross, and I've seen it more than a few times. America just has the right mixture of ignorance of consequences, indulgence, culture, and availability of ingredients that hamburgers are just better. Logistics. Holy fecking sit, do we do logistics well? Name your item, your point A and point B somewhere on Earth, and the United States could get it done in a day if it was so inclined. When it comes to logistics, the US military alone is the single greatest organization that has ever existed in human history. Our civilian world isn't far behind. Our freight rail is as good as our passenger rail is bad. Use the last of the coffee this morning? Amazon will have a fresh batch at your doorstep before you get back from work. Thanks to one of our more badass presidents, Teddy Roosevelt, our national park system is the gift that keeps on giving. As a European, my answer to this is stand-up comedy, male, female, white, black. Whatever you mention, America has just the most incredible people in the world of stand-up. I feel it genuinely is America's true art form. It's the best part of US culture for me. Suburban luxury. If you've got a nice income, you'll basically live like a king in some gaudy house with gaudy cars in a manicured suburban city. There's homelessness in the inner cities, but the suburbs in the nicer metro regions are luxurious as hell. I don't think there's any place on the planet with as vast as the luxury suburbs spread in the US.